Hit record, and we are on week 2 of Principles of Business. I have only 6 people here in tonight, but it is Halloween night, and I figure a lot of people are out doing the trick-or-treating and things like that. And so if I hate for anybody to miss out. I think Laura's out trick-or-treating with the kids in her car now, so which is awesome.
I found myself.
But all right, so chapter 4, and sorry about the technical difficulties. For some reason, my Google Chrome did not want to bring anything up. I was on Zoom, everything was fine. Rebooted, everything seems to work out. So we're going to start on chapter 4, which is business ethics and social responsibility. Now, ethics is kind of a weird one. And we'll bring this right here. There you go. Make sure I'm on the right page here. Okay, so ethics and social responsibility. Now, they're not the same thing. And ethics, personal ethics and business ethics aren't the same thing either. And we're going to kind of run through some of the more noble things in the book, and then we may try to jump on some of these questions and see if we can answer them. People that show up need to get a little bit extra something, right? So ethics are a sense of beliefs about right and wrong, good and bad. And we get those from everywhere. Everybody has their own sense of right and wrong, good or bad. I know there seems to be a whole universal core, but I don't even think there's that. As you go from country to country from culture to culture, things that we may find abhorrent is just normal every day in some cultures, and things that they find weird with us, is normal every day. I know when I was in Saudi Arabia, 0 alcohol in the entire country. Alcohol was a no-no. And as a young soldier, that's pretty much our life's blood was alcohol. So we suffered there for quite a while. And it's just one of those things, they consider every bit of alcoholic beverage bad, and they don't even allow it in the entire country. I know we went and visited Aramco, which is a Saudi Arabian oil company, and there was an American compound where the Americans made their own alcohol, and the Saudis just kind of didn't pay attention to it. There was also, at the time, women couldn't drive, so all those things here. Female circumcision is often practiced in some of these Middle Eastern countries, and that's not something we would normally do here. So it's just different.
Yeah, but they're not hers.
Now they do give us a matrix here on legal and ethical, and that's the other thing, is it may be legal but unethical, or it may be unethical, it may be legal. Laws don't always reflect what we may find ethical. So, and they kind of give it to us here. Some of the things of legal and unethical: promoting high calorie, low nutrient foods with inadequate information about the risk. And we still, I think the information's out there, but sugar is terrible. Sugar is one of the worst things for you. And I know we all eat a lot of it, and everything contains it. Legal and unethical: producing products will break before their time. On my car, transmissions are known to be a known problem. The transmissions are a known problem, and they're going to break after the T, but before the useful life of the car is over. And so that's one of the things you kind of bake into the cake when I research these cars is, yes, I'm going to have to spend money on a new transmission somewhere down the road. And it's perfectly legal to do that. Paying non-living wages to workers in developing countries, and we're talking about India, China, a lot of those places, some places in a lot of places in Africa. Um, they people subsist on the bare minimum. Um, and I can't remember that there was a manufacturer that produced iPhones. I cannot remember the name of the company now. For some reason, it just left my head. But the working conditions were so bad and the pay was so low that people were jumping out. It was like this big city, and people were jumping out of the buildings and killing themselves. So instead of changing the working conditions and changing the pay and trying to make your workers happy, they just put nets around the buildings to catch people when they tried to jump. That was their solution. So we got, let's see what we got over here. Legal and ethical, producing high quality products, rewarding integrity, leading by example, treating employees fairly. Although when we get into words like fair, that's kind of one of those things. Everybody interprets fair in their own way. My dad, God rest his soul, greatest guys in the world. He always said, we tell him that's not fair, and he'd say fair is someplace. Fair is a place where you go to show your pigs and your cows. So get over it. Contributing to the community, respecting the environment. Then you have illegal and unethical, embezzling money. We know that's wrong all the way around. Engaging in sexual harassment, practicing collusion with competitors, and encouraging fraudulent accounting. Collusion with competitors, that's one as well. It seems like, in many industries, the pricing is always the same or similar across the board. I don't know if it's actual, if it's actually competition or them just getting, saying, going to Sony, going to Microsoft and saying, hey, your new Xbox and our new PlayStation, they're real similar. Let's make sure we can both make plenty of money and let's not get into a price war here. Where we both lose out. We can both keep our prices inflated to a certain point. Not saying they do that, but there's many things like that always seem to fall in line. And then let me see, illegal and ethical. Here we go. Okay, legal and ethical, providing rock bottom prices only to distributors in underserved areas. Okay, so you don't. It does seem to be ethical, but you don't get to drop your price just for certain people. Collaborating with other medical clinics, guarantee low prices in low income counties, what they call collusion. That's also not legal. Okay. So universal ethical standards, a reasonable goal for wishful thinking. Too many people view ethics as relative. In other words, their ethical standards shift depending on the situation and how it relates to them. It's not okay to steal paper from the office supply store, but it's perfectly fine to borrow, quote figure that, borrow supplies from the storage closet at work and use at home. Why? Because a company owes me, they don't pay me enough. They, whatever it is. It's wrong to lie, but okay to call in sick when I have personal business to take care of. Why? So I don't burn through my limited vacation days. Okay. Everyone should have a level playing field, but it's fine to give my brother the first shot at the company's contract because we know he really needs work. So people will bend their own standards and rules based on the situation. I don't think we've all done it. I don't know of anybody who hasn't. It's easy to say easy, but you can manipulate yourself and your mindset into doing something you wouldn't normally do because there's a good reason behind it. And then universal ethical standards, trustworthy. Geez, English is hard tonight, guys. Trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, citizenship. All things seem to be universal ethical standards. The golden rule: treat others how you want to be treated. Be considerate, be tolerant of differences. And once again, that's we not all differences are equal though, right? and there's some differences we should not be tolerant of. Okay. Okay, so business ethics, right and wrong, and good or bad while you're in a business setting. I spent a lot of years in the pipeline, and I will tell you, ethical standards in pipelining are almost non-existent. That it is a dirty, dirty, dirty business. Not just physically going down and getting in and working in, but it's a dirty, dirty, dirty business. And you find yourself, it's easy to slip into these simple decisions because everybody does it that way. And it's not that you can't go against the grain. It's if you go against the grain, you won't get these contracts because you can't stay competitive. Things like hiring illegals at a lower pay rate. You know it's wrong. You're not supposed to do it. But at the same time, if you don't, all these other companies will, and they'll just price you out of the market. You'll end up going bankrupt. And so it's really hard to stick, to your principles when things like that are going on. And then like some of these examples here, you did a good job. You should have get a bonus, but they won't give it to you. So you're told just inflate your expense reports for the next few months. They'll just sign off on them. That way you can get your extra money. It's not really, the way you want to do it, and yeah. Not illegal, undocumented. Sorry, Elise, undocumented. Undocumented. And see, I'll even get a little political because I know Elise likes it when I do that. She's gonna jump all over me. But well, and let's look at some of these open border policies. You have the big companies want low price labor. Okay. They're trying to come across for a better life for the most part. Then you have all the drug and sex trafficking coming across. And so have we figured the answer out to, exactly how to fix that? I'm not sure we have. People are going to try to get into wherever they can to make a better life. They're going to do it. They're going to put themselves at risk. So do we tighten up things so hard that they put themselves at risk and end up dying? Well, no. But are people dying when we don't do that? Yes. So it's hard to figure out, and then undocumented workers get over here, and then companies take advantage by paying them half of what they would pay somebody else. And sometimes not that. I grew up Northeast Texas. We would always work summers with some of the migrant workers that come through. They'd come through every year about the same time with bale hay, as teenagers and do things like that. And you see the same people over and over again. And it's quite an eye-opening experience. Okay, although each person must make his or her own ethical choices, the organization can have a significant influence on the quality of those decisions. Absolutely. Come on, let's get through here. Where are we at? Okay, let's jump into some of these questions. I think I like that better. And that way, maybe we can work through these together. Help me out here. If you're not on a speaker, then just go ahead and type in if you can. And if not, I get it. I know some of you guys are running around town, so it's perfectly okay.
I'm stopped now, so we're good.
Oh, you're good? Okay. Okay, so ethics referred to, well, you got to bring me some candy then tomorrow.
Well, I'm gonna have to airmail that to you.
I know, right? Um, just Halloween candy tastes much better. I'm a grown man. I got a job and credit cards and a car and everything else. And if I wanted candy, I could go get some. But you know what? The Halloween candy is just so much better.
Well, you can keep all the chocolate. I'll have everything else but chocolate.
Well, we don't get anything with peanuts in around our house anymore since we have our 3-year-old grandson has a peanut allergy. So I don't get.
Oh,
I, if,
well, yeah.
so
Okay. Well,
so we don't
I'll
we
send
don't
you
do
some
anything with
red
peanuts either.
vines. I'll
Red,
send you
that's
some
pretty
red
much.
vines.
Poor kid, he's allergic to everything. He is. He's allergic to just everything in the world. He's got it tough. Okay, so ethics refer to the obligations of a business to contribute to society, social movements that focus on key consumer rights, legal codes written in the Constitution, and sets and beliefs about good and bad. We covered that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Another one, I think we're going to touch on social responsibility. That's another touchy subject that can go either way. It can go right or wrong. Let's see, which of the following examples of business conduct is legal but unethical? Embezzling money? Nope.
No.
Providing rock bottom prices, only distributors and surveyors, we already covered that. Paying non-living wages? No. Practicing collusion with competitors?
Went through that.
Which one was it?
We did go through that one because that was the comparison of the pricing.
Yeah, that
going
was
price matching and stuff like that.
that one then?
We have gone through that.
Yeah, went through that. Oh, excuse me. According to the universal ethical standards identified by nonprofit, nonpartisan, character counts organizations, treated others how you like to be treated, being considerate, being tolerant of differences represents the value of. Remember?
The value, is that a question?
Yeah. According to universal ethical standards, treating others how you like to be treated, being considerate, and being tolerant of differences represents the core value of either fairness, respect, trustworthiness, or citizenship.
That's respect.
Yep. Just like the song says, RESPECT. According to universal health ethical standards identified by the same people, providing equal opportunity represents the core value of.
Equal opportunity, that's going to be values.
But it's fairness, right?
Well, fairness, yeah, because you're equal, you're doing equal, so it's fair.
Is that fair or is it? Yeah, got mixed up myself. In the context of business ethics, which of the following situation best describes an ethical dilemma? When a person is involved in clear misconduct. If it's clear misconduct, there's no dilemma, right?
Exactly.
When a person is forced to choose between clearly right and clearly wrong, once again, I don't think clearly right and clearly wrong is an ethical dilemma. When a decision appears to be ethical in all senses that one tries to find fault with it, or when a person is forced to choose among bad options. What do you guys think?
I must stop answering because I've already done this test and it's not fair.
She says she's on the fairness thing.
I know, but I've already done this test, so it's like I'm giving you guys answers. It's like, you guys need to answer.
Well, that was, choosing between bad options. That is an ethical dilemma, and I think we do that a lot. I think having to choose between bad options is sometimes just the norm, not the exception to the rule.
Yes.
In the context of ethical individuals, blank refers to identification with the understanding of another's situation, feelings, and motives. Somebody besides Laura, because she said she's already done this, was not fair.
I can answer them. It's just I know what they are, so it's like.
I'm pretty sure it's B.
It is empathy. Empathy, you can put yourself in someone else's shoes and understand how they're. Yeah. And there's, you have empathy and sympathy, and I think they're really closely related, but we have to know the difference between them. A blank is a formal written document that defines the moral standards of organization and gives employees the information they need to make moral decisions across a range of situations.
Code of ethics.
Yep.
Yep.
Every place I've ever worked had one that they never followed. And once again, ethics are fine until it gets tough, and when things get tough, you'll see where people's true loyalties and how ethical someone is. To bring a code of ethics to life, experts advocate a forceful, integrated approach to ethics. In this context, which of the following steps is essential? Okay, making sure the ethics code is local, not global, preventing top management from over communicating the importance of ethics, establishing and enforcing strict laws against whistleblowers, and integrating ethics into mandatory staff training. What do you guys think? D?
Yes.
And what about whistleblowers? Anybody ever see any of that go on?
Not
There are,
really.
well, there are laws that's supposed to protect whistleblowers, but they still usually get in trouble. And we can look at some of them, like what was his name? Oh geez Louise, what was his name? And I just watched a video about him the other day. All right, I'm gonna have to look it up, guys. Sorry, I have to. We had Serpico, but that was a good one. They have Chelsea Manning in here, but that's not the one I was thinking of. There was a guy, he worked in the government. They made a movie about him. He
Snowden?
snuck out. Thank you, Edward Snowden. Thank you. Gosh, I don't know how I could forget that.
Mhm.
And
Aren't they still waiting for him to show up again?
I don't know if I don't know. The WikiLeaks guy, I think they finally got a hold of him. I watched the one on Netflix, yeah. And then of course Chelsea Manning. So I mean, and a lot of these people paid the price. A lot of these people paid the price, and you start to realize that if you cross powerful people, it doesn't matter if you're protected or not. You never really are.
No.
But Edward Snowden knew what he was doing when he did it. He knew what the risks were, and I think that's one of the things is if you're going to do something for the greater good like that, or what you feel like is the greater good, what your morals tell you need to do, you have to count on, hey, this may go badly for me. Blank are employees who report their employers. Okay, whistleblowers. They report unethical behavior. Since I can't speak tonight. Blank is the obligation of a business to contribute to society. And I think we kind of said something about social responsibility.
Yes.
Now, and I think social responsibility is kind of a weird one. I'm for sure not against it, but you have other responsibilities as you run a business besides just being socially responsible. You're responsible to your employees, You're responsible to your shareholders, your stakeholders, and you still, and hopefully you're doing this under the scope of doing it in an ethical and moral manner. Because it's really easy. Now I said I've always worked, every company I ever worked for did not follow their code of ethics. Actually, when I worked for the ConocoPhillips distributor, I was their operation manager for 6 years. The owner, he had a clear set of ethics that he always followed. And there were lines he would never cross to sell his product. And that was one of the things that's why I was there for 6 years, because I really respected that. Even though it made our lives more difficult, it would have been a lot easier to, take guys out to the nudie bar, or to, go and get them drunk, or to buy them tickets to, hockey tickets or baseball or basketball ticket, try to gain their business. And that's just not how he did it. And many companies we were competing with would do things like that. Okay, a starting point for social responsible employer is to determine how much to measure the achievement of each worker, maintain a clear reporting structure for ethical concerns and grievances, meet legal standards, or practice collusion. Everybody agree it might be B?
C.
No,
B.
that's what I said, but I was wrong. We know it's not collusion, so it must be meet legal standards. And I don't remember reading that, so that's, as I skimmed through this stuff, before I, during the weekend before we try to do this, I don't always remember everything. Which of the following consumer rights is referred to when businesses are legally responsible for injuries and damages caused by their products if they have no reason to suspect that their products might cause harm? The right say. Now, and a lot of these, like car companies, they're going to be they're going to be on the hook sometimes if something fails in that vehicle, somebody gets hurt, and you can prove, it's an ongoing problem, not just a one-off. The Ford Pinto was a good one. They were just saving a couple of bucks per car, and then the daggum thing, you could almost kick the back bumper and it would blow up.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and this was a known problem to Ford. This was not something they didn't know. Although I did have one back in the day, but mine was a station wagon, so I didn't have that problem. That's right. 16-year-old Steve was rocking the Ford Pinto station wagon. The girls were all over that. Socially responsible firms support consumers by being involved in competitive practices such as predatory pricing, invoking consumers when accounting for traditional financial indicators such as earnings, using strategies such as planned obsolescence for the firm's growth, and following the laws to prevent anti-competitive behavior such as monopolies. But we know we're not going to do predatory pricing, and we know two of them is wrong, using planned obsolescence. So they support consumers by following the laws to prevent behaviors such as monopolies. Well, we know monopolies are illegal, right? For the most part.
Yes.
I don't know how many people are old enough to remember when they split up Ma Bell.
I remember.
Yeah, I sure do.
I do.
Then these younger ones like Diamond, she's over here going, "Who's Ma Bell?" Blank is a strategy of deliberately designing products to fail in order to shorten the time between purchases. That is an easy one. That is, sorry, Diamond. That is planned obsolescence. I think that is, I don't know if that's a real issue, but I feel like, it is. Who do we lose here? We lost Laura. Okay. Just knowing that you're going to build something that's going to break or become unusable, at some point. They used to do that. I think computers are one of those. About 3 years, maybe 5 on the outset of a personal computer, and they become so slow. I believe cell phones are another one. My daughter actually told me, and I don't know if this is true, and somebody tell me if you've heard it or if you know anything, which is that cell phones, when they update your cell phone, they're actually doing things to make it worse, so you'll buy a new one later. Don't know.
I've heard that too.
Blank is a federal, yep, and I believe it. Funny thing is, I found we were cleaning around the house, or my wife was. I was just assisting as little as humanly possible. And she found a bunch of her old cell phones. I found my BlackBerry. Now that was a phone. Blank is a federal legislation passed in 2002 that sets higher ethical standards for public corporations and accounting firms. Everybody remember that?
Isn't that Sarbanes
Yeah.
Oxley?
It is Sarbanes-Oxley, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we know the difference between we know what a public corporation is, right? Do we know the difference?
A public corporation compared to what? A private corporation?
Right. Something that's privately owned as compared to something that is traded on a market somewhere.
That'd be like a franchise, correct?
Well, maybe, but also companies like Google, Amazon, Walmart, those are all public companies. Because what they've done is and I don't know if I don't know what you guys have covered sometimes, but when you go put your company on a New York Stock Exchange, when you're selling shares, you're actually selling individual pieces of a company. So when you go buy stock in a company, you're an actual owner. Okay. So publicly traded means they have sold shares of that company out on the open market in an exchange to raise funds. Okay. And so that's a publicly traded company. Now you have privately owned companies that have one owner or one set of owners, and they're not traded on a market somewhere, not traded on the New York Stock Exchange or any other place. And so we can go right now and you can own Google stock, which makes you one of the owners.
Huh.
Oh, Linda just gave me a nice explanation about the phones. She said, yes, in some cases, however, it depends on if they made the phone, if they made it compatible with the new updates. I can tell you they are making them that way because one gets rid of the old and being in the new, and it brings in new, I think, as more for the marketing. Yep. So, and and phones, the new phones are expensive. They're crazy expensive. Let's knock this out as we get out of here. In the context of responsibility to the community, which of the following statement is true of corporate philanthropy? Refers to the obligation of a business to offer high wages to the underprivileged. Is the application of right and wrong as well as good and bad in the business setting. It involves a partnership between a business and a nonprofit, and it includes all business donations and nonprofit groups. Anybody have any idea on that one? Anybody know what philanthropy is?
Somebody getting tired.
Philanthropy, the exact definition, desire to promote the welfare of others expressed especially by the generous donation of money to good causes.
Like a donation.
Yep. And you'll see a lot of these big companies and wealthy individuals, they do things. My wife deals, and she's the assistant director of financial aid over here at OSUIT. And so she deals with a lot of scholarships. And a lot of these scholarships are done by companies or private individuals or even their estates. Glenn says, pretty much sum it up, it's a way for the government to take back the money they make us work for. Sorry to be so outspoken. Hey,
Yep.
I was
It is.
at a meeting with one of my local state representatives, not federal, but state, and we were talking about taxes. And he was defending, because here in Old Mulgee, our sales tax is a little over 10%. And so between what my wife and I make, and I just started jotting stuff down, got my calculator out while he was talking, and we figured, kind of as a weird aside, oh, Diamond lives in Old Mulgee?
Mhm.
All right. Mugtown. I'm sorry, Diamond. I won't hold that against you. You live on the east side or west side? Down the street from, so you live on the east side. Okay. Well, my wife has been there for 5 years. Funny. But I started sketching out between what I make, my wife makes, what we pay in income tax, Social Security, Medicare, state taxes, sales taxes, property taxes, fuel taxes. I just did a quick thing. And really quick, I realized 45% of our income goes to one sort of tax or another.
Mhm.
That we work until, my wife and I work until June just to pay the government, state, local, federal. So we don't start making any money for
Now
us
you know
till,
the taxes were.
what's that?
Go ahead. I'll let
No,
you finish.
no, I'm just saying, that's we don't start making money for ourselves till June.
Mhm. I was going to tell you that, like, after the World War II, taxes were supposed to stop for everybody, and then the government
It-
found out that they were making money, so they continued doing it.
Income taxes, yep. Income taxes are
Mhm.
a big deal. They amended the Constitution to be able to do that. So they
Yeah.
got us.
Mm.
And and we have one of the most progressive tax systems in the world. The more you make, the more you pay as a percentage of your income.
Not
Don't tell me
really.
about it.
Like Warren Buffett, his secretary pays more income tax than he does.
No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't. They debunked that a long time ago.
Okay.
Now we have to remember that there's a difference between income and wealth. All right. She went there for a semester 2015. Nice, Diamond. Like Elon Musk being worth, gosh, however much he is worth now, you get all sorts of different numbers. But that's his net worth. Okay. That is how much, if he sold every stock, all of his companies, every bit of everything, that's how much money he would have. But most of these guys, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, these guys don't have, if he's worth $150 billion, he doesn't have access to $150 billion in cash. Most of that is tied up into Tesla and SpaceX and now Twitter. So it's not readily available cash. And you're not going to pay taxes on much of that until you sell that asset and take the money for it, just like your 401k. Okay. You're not going to pay taxes on that until you cash it out.
Mhm.
So you may be worth you say you may be a millionaire, you may be worth $1 million, but it may be tied up in 401k in your house is another big one. You know, a lot of people have houses. They may have houses worth $200,000 or $300,000, but that's not easily accessible cash. So being wealthy on paper and what your income is a
That's a
completely different thing.
thing. Mhm.
And the reason, and I know at least she hit mute real quick. The reason I said she doesn't pay that is there is no way that on his income, and we can look it up here real quick. Who are we doing? Warren Buffett. Okay, so unless she's making more than $100,000 a year, she's not going to pay more in taxes than him. And he may be paying the secretary. Hopefully, I'd love for him to pay his secretary more than $100,000 a year. But he, you know, that would be nice. Now, are there ways around it? Yeah. Are there unethical ways around it? Absolutely. You know, give yourself, you know, the company you get a company provided car, you get a company provided plane, you get a company expense account, okay, things of that nature. That you get away with not paying taxes on that. And so yes and no. Okay, blank refers to business contributions to the community through the actions of the business itself, rather than donations of money and time. Corporate responsibility, I believe. Hey, there we go. So, and I know I've worked for places where, of course, they would give money away, but they would also, you would go do a community service a few days a year. You know, they would pay you to go do things out in the community.
United Way. I
United
used
Way,
to go,
yeah.
I would go and donate time when one of my companies supported that.
United Way is a good one. That's how I pick a charity is I look and see how much, I try to look see how much is actually going to the cause and not to management fees, expenses, things of that nature. And some of these, a lot of money goes to pay for fees, management, and things of that nature instead of going actually to the causes they're supposed to go to.
And
So
that's why I don't do the Komen breast cure thing,
right,
because almost everything goes to management.
yeah, a lot of them do. You know, and you know, that's why I stick to things like the Wounded Warriors and things of that nature.
I love
Plus, I'm an old
Wounded
soldier. I got to
Warrior.
do what's that?
I love Wounded Warrior. I support them a lot.
You know, being an old soldier, you have to kind of, you know, I have a special place because I've known a lot of people who, you know, been hurt, injured, and died, and you know, got people who have been injured in combat are definitely something special, and we should help take care of them. In the context of responsibility to the environment, blank refers to doing business to meet needs of the current generation without harming the ability of future generations to meet their needs. That is sustainable development, right?
Yep.
The logging companies learn that, and we'll go through these quick three. I know we're getting late here. Logging companies learn that instead of just going down and cutting down trees and moving on the next spot, they go down and cut down trees and they come behind and they replant those. So another decade or two, they can come back around and start cutting those trees down again. So they keep it sustainable.
Yeah, if they
Okay,
did hemp, then it would be sustainable again. They could plant it again in 90 days.
Belinda said, have you guys ever heard of Night to Shine? It's Tim Tebow's foundation. I actually have. I forgot about that, but yeah, Tim Tebow. What else we got here? Carbon footprint. Scope 2 refers to direct emissions caused by employee commutes and product use, emissions that occur outside a company's boundaries, emissions that result from purchased electricity, heat and steam, and direct emissions produced by corporate operations. I believe it is that. I could be wrong. Yep. Yep, there it is. Emissions that result from purchased electricity, heat, and steam. That's scope 2. Okay, and blank is a systematic evaluation of how well a firm is meeting its ethics and social responsibility goals. Anybody remember what that one is?
Social audit.
Is it the audit? Oh, hit progress map. There we go. Social audit. And then finally, the last one before we get out of here. Monitoring ethics and responsibility in organizations with the following statement is true of a social audit.
And determining how to measure the achievement of established goals and the second steps in the process of conducting a social audit.
All right. Bada bing, bada boom. We covered all those. And look, I made 100. So, all right, ladies, I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.